Musical Talk, the UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Musical Talk. My name is Nick Hudson. We have three wonderful sections coming up in today's episode. The first you're going to hear is a discussion that I had with Andrew Keating about And Juliet, which is the new Max Martin musical, and I hope you know who that is, playing at the Shaftesbury Theatre. Then we're going to hear from David Herzog for his first instalment of an audio blog that he's doing from his pantomime up north, and then we're going to hear a discussion I had with Jonathan Cohen about Mary Poppins that is playing at the Prince Edward Theatre. So, on we go. Well, Andrew Keating and I have just been to see And Juliet, which is a jukebox musical by a songwriter called Max Martin. My first question to you, Andrew, you know where I'm going with this. Who is Max Martin?
Do you know the number of people... Hello, Nicholas Charles Elliott Hudson.
Hello.
The number of people that I've said, excited, I'm going to go see the Max Martin jukebox musical this week. And who is Max Martin?
Even your neighbour next to you said, who is Max Martin?
Yeah, it's this American guy next to us.
And he bought a ticket.
He bought a ticket for it. He said, I just heard a load of kind of great pop songs that everybody knew.
Which in a way is correct.
Well, it is. If you don't know who Max Martin is, we're not going to tell you. You can go and see the show.
I will tell you, because Max Martin is arguably one of the greatest pop songwriters of all time. If you are of a certain age, and by that I mean any age between about 15 and 40, you would have grown up listening to his songs, whether it's Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Pink, Katy Perry, Avril Lavigne,
Ariana Grande,
a few
modern people,
Celine Dion.
For you less modern people, yes.
It's just an astonishing back catalogue, isn't
You
it?
think it's like a 20-plus year career? It's over 200 songs he's written, co-written and produced.
Maybe one more time, he was 25 or something when that song came out.
Wow.
He's very comfortable with his life, you could say.
And he still seems to have this anonymity, doesn't he? He doesn't really do that much publicity or anything because he doesn't need to.
Well, he said he wants the artist to be the star.
Yeah.
Which is the obvious thing for pop songs. But in a way, he's the star of this show, isn't he? Because it's his first introduction into the world.
Yeah, and from that, and from the whole back catalogue as well, it's not just kind of late 90s or modern stuff. It's through the whole era, that whole shebang. So there is something. So there were kind of a middle-aged couple behind us, and he was very heavily into the Backstreet Boys numbers, wasn't he?
He was very heavily singing along as well. He was also flatly singing along.
But he was enjoying himself.
He was enjoying himself, yes. I can't say that much for those around him, but never mind.
His wife did tell him to shush, if that helps.
So this show, it's a retelling-ish of Romeo and Juliet, but told from a different angle and from the end, and it continues the story, it changes some things around. It goes places I don't think you and I were expecting, and we'll leave it at that.
Are we going to have a spoiler warning?
No,
why?
I want. Oh yes, spoiler warning.
Spoiler
okay,
warning. No, spoiler warning because Christine dies
at the end. Yes.
Love never dies. Christine does. Yes, a spoiler warning. So we might reveal plot points, interesting moments.
I will say before we talk about the plot, it's very, very funny. It's completely fourth wall breaking.
Yes, because you have Shakespeare and Anne Hathaway.
Yes. I will say I thought Act 1 was better than Act 2 as regards the songs. It does that thing kind of jukebox musicals tend to do in Act 2 where they shove about 12 ballads in a row.
I think they probably could have shoehorned more songs in and just cut the running time down. Do you know, this is the one crime of this show. If any show needed a mega mix at the end, it's this show.
You had a...
It's not stick a Justin Timberlake hit at the end and
But before it started, and in the interval, there is a jukebox on stage.
Oh yes,
and it is playing a kind of mega mix of Max Martin
True.
songs.
Yes. So there is
instrumentals.
Yes, instrumentals coming from the jukebox. Yeah, but we quite like that. Kind of that's a visual pun, isn't it? A jukebox musical with an actual jukebox on the stage.
That probably isn't the first though to do that. But it's at the Shaftesbury Theatre, and we saw it on a Friday night. The crowd were as much up for it as a British crowd can be. It's very British, but it's written by an American, I think. He's written Schitt's Creek for Netflix, and he went to NYU and things like that.
But I'm saying it's very... Is that just the feel of it? Because you're both saying, well, you wouldn't put that on Broadway without kind of having a major rewrite. What makes it British?
I think the cast, obviously,
the cast,
make it British.
Yes, the cast. Oh, yes, there's some nice Petula Clark vowels. Can't...
What do you call me? But what's interesting, whenever you see a jukebox musical, it's always interesting seeing musical theatre actors acting these songs, because they're never made to be acted originally, they're just made to be sung. But you see these actors, whether it's Melanie Labarre or Bark, I can't pronounce her name properly, sorry, playing the nurse, or Oliver Thompson playing William Shakespeare himself, Cassidy CJ playing Anne Hathaway, Miriam Teague Lee, who previously was in Hamilton in London. She also went to Arts Ed and got a scholarship there, playing Juliet. They've really acted very, very well, these songs. And it adds so many layers onto these songs.
They do that thing which is common to jukebox musicals. Oh, and that Rocket Man film, which was essentially a jukebox musical on film, where they split the songs up so they become dialogue, so it's not just one person. Even if the original was like a solo singer.
You mean duets?
Yes, they become duets.
And also they'll put a bit of a song and a bit of
they
another
become
song.
Almost conversational.
Yeah. But they'll put more songs into a song, and then they'll return to the original song they did.
Yes.
Rock of Ages did that as well, speaking of Oliver Thompson.
Oliver Thompson, should he have played it as a Brummie? Just for laughs?
He was Cockney, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was kind of like, it's almost like this Cockney...
Because he lived in London, didn't he?
This Cockney wide boy,
What you should be asking is, should Anne Hathaway have played it as a West Midlands person?
I don't know, I think that would have been fun.
I mean, we're also in Stratford in this episode. We're going to see The Boy in the Dress, which is, nice linking-ish back to this show. It started its life in Manchester. Did very well there, and it's interesting hearing the audience talk about it when there are a lot of Americans in, which is interesting. Obviously his songs might be more well known there because they're mostly done by American people, I don't know. But they've said something stuck with me. I really listened to the songs, and that really says the power of what musical theatre does, going back to what I was saying about how well they act them. You really do sit there and listen.
I want to know who you were eavesdropping on. I didn't hear any of that.
Well, I was listening to what people were saying. But it proves how well acted these songs are. And Luke Shepherd directed it very, very well. It's very funny, as I said. There's a bit too many ballads in Act 2, I think. You said they could have cut some of the ballads.
There's a bit of a lull, isn't there? Where's the song list?
It's called Act 2.
No, I don't think that's fair entirely. I mean, the ballads that they pick are very nice, but they have a few kind of very, very big hit songs together, and then a couple of ones that maybe are not as well known.
You're a big expert at pop music, and you didn't know some of them, did you? I know he wrote a new song for the show.
I mean, put it this way. With
I want it that way, though.
Yeah, you want it that way. If you've written kind of, I don't know, it is 200 plus songs. It's hundreds.
You thought to be every song you'd ever done.
It's hundreds. Yeah, it's just hundreds. That you can't fit everything in, and actually, you can be relatively selective. It's not like, say, the Spice Girls musical, where you've got, I don't know, 30 songs.
Did you see that?
To choose from. Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about it in another episode.
We can talk about that now. Did you see it?
I didn't. I was ill that week.
I think that's a bit mean. I think it was much maligned, but again, you have to have a reasonably big back catalogue to make things.
Spice Girls only had about 5 hits, didn't they? And you really need to know your Spice Girls to get got that show. But never mind. Matt Martin, obviously, a huge back catalogue. Some songs I didn't know. I probably knew about 50% of them, I'd say. There's a very funny moment in that one where they're sat at a virginal playing, which is a kind of harpsichord.
Singing a song by...
Well, not by Max Martin, but sung by Britney Spears originally.
Spears, yeah.
And I didn't know that one.
No, and I think there are... I mean, again, it's another common jukebox trope now, that it's that laughter sometimes when people know what the song is or what to expect. So you know sometimes where the title is going to be the joke or is going to be payoff in a build-up to something.
But I haven't heard that reaction from when I first saw Mamma Mia.
Yes, because Mamma Mia did it
better than anyone else has
Yeah,
ever done it, and
yeah.
this show does it that well. And to hear people laugh when songs start is great. And I didn't, as I keep saying, I didn't know many of the songs, but they're still really good to listen to, whether you know them or not. Which ones did you not know, and do you want to go and research them and listen to the originals?
What did I not know? We're looking at the song list now. I was more upset that you didn't identify the. Well, you knew which one the Celine Dion song was. That's the way it
Well,
is.
only because
Only because you said Cassie Janssen sang it like the Celine Dion.
She did that kind of weird sound.
Is that a Celine Dion noise?
Yes. I Kissed a Girl was one of the highlights of the show because that's very clever how it's done.
Yes.
How it comes out of the story. There's also a very clever boy band moment. And
There's a very clever boy band moment.
I'll leave it at that.
There's a very, very good...
Because Max Martin invented that
finale.
boy band trope, didn't he?
What?
The kind of Backstreet Boys song, the NSYNC song. We should probably say what songs Max Martin did if you don't know who he is. Look at the song list. Larger Than Life, I Want It That Way, Baby One More Time, Show Me the Meaning of Being Lonely. I mean, they are four massive hits, one after the other, and that's the first four songs in the show. For example, I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman. That was a Britney Spears song, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Which,
how do we unpack that one?
It plays on the trope of men playing women in Shakespearean plays, I would think, but it does it in a very modern and clever way.
It's got a very modern twist on it, because let's face it, it's not one of his most politically correct songs. I don't know, it was a weird song at the time, because...
When it was done, Britney Spears was kind of growing up, wasn't she?
Yeah, and it was the time for the Britney Spears movie. While we're going to talk about this, have you ever seen the Britney Spears movie, Crossroads? Which is not based on the soap opera of the same name.
I remember seeing clips from it as a teenager.
Did you never see it?
No.
I watched it again recently, and
Is there a Britney Spears musical in there somewhere?
oh my god, because when you watch it again now, you're going like, oh, I know that. Oh yeah. Oh, you know, that is one of the girls went on to be in Orange Is the New Black. Two of them went on into Star Trek. She's got the actress who plays her in the Star Trek movies.
Britney Spears has gone mad.
Oh, poor Britney.
So-
no, I'm really upset. You've never seen Crossroads.
Sadly not. So, and going into the end of that one, Oops, I Did It Again, Britney Spears, I Kissed a Girl, Katy Perry, It's My Life, Bon Jovi. You know, this man has written so many songs, and it's so lovely that he's got a show out.
You have to, like with Max Martin. I mean, I'm sure.
Who is Max Martin?
Who is Max Martin? Who is this mysterious,
Jesus-like figure.
this Jesus-like Svengali, Swedish Svengali, pulling the strings of pop,
Svengali.
who nobody knows. I'm still upset. People just. This is a conspiracy. They're just pretending not.
Well, there's
to
a whole
know.
article in the programme entitled
There's no. I don't think there's one photo of him though.
"Who is Max Martin?"
Who is Max Martin? And, you know, he could be walking past people in the auditorium. They wouldn't know.
The hits are certainly more present in that one than
No,
Act Two,
I was going to
think.
say Max Martin. I think before he hit it big, I thought wasn't he in a rock band or a heavy metal band or something? He wasn't kind of always out and out pop.
I don't know.
Well, I think he was, and people correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was.
Max Martin, if you're listening, please let Andrew
Max
know.
Martin is not listening.
But there were
No,
more.
but, so It's My Life is kind of those more rocky songs, Bon Jovi
But he
originally.
did like Linkin Park songs and Avril Lavigne songs and
Well, it's that flexibility of that format to do different things. And again, some of the songs, I mean, say in Act 2, when Juliet does Stronger, which is a Britney Spears song originally, but again, the arrangement is much rockier, much heavier arrangement, a lot less poppy.
but more hits in Act 1 than Act 2, I think.
Well, it just depends what you know. I mean, again, it goes back to the fact it's such a wide back catalogue that, you know, you're not necessarily going to know everything, but then it's got an appeal to a range of audiences.
It must have been strange for him to go back into his catalogue and look at these songs and hand them over to other people to be done again. He writes a very polite kind of thank you.
He does, doesn't he?
In the programme.
In the programme, it's a very polite thank you.
And, you know, it's been odd for me to go back to all these songs from 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's writing that long, but probably 20 years ago, I would say. And kind of revisit them. And it's great that he is finally getting acknowledgement as an excellent songwriter. What is it?
What do you mean finally getting acknowledgement?
He's never had a jukebox musical before. What I mean is he's finally... His name is on the top. You know, the Max Martin musical.
Well, it isn't really, is it, I suppose? Or... I'm trying to think of the...
I like the musical lyrics, Max Martin and Friends.
Friends, yeah.
It's Joey, Rachel, Charlie.
Yeah, but again, that's a very common thing, is that you have multiple co-writers.
Would you see it again? It's always a question we ask.
There's not that many things I usually see more than one. And things don't always bear revisiting, so I'm thinking a show which was maybe similar in style was Bat Out of Hell, which the first time...
I think this is much... It's certainly more coherent than Bat Out of Hell is.
Yeah, that's not hard. But, you know, Bat Out of Hell, great the first time. Second time, it's like, ooh, no, this is not hanging together quite as well as I remember. And so sometimes I think you just have to enjoy things for what they are. I mean, you kind of said, well, will it find an audience? Who is the audience? What will the audience be?
People that grew up with these songs.
It's nostalgic, isn't it? It's that jukebox nostalgia factor.
I think the cast album will help propel the show forward.
Isn't Jessie J doing something with the cast album?
I think she's done a song, one of the new songs they did for it. But there isn't, you know, we saw it on a Friday night. There wasn't an empty seat in the theatre. Got a wonderful response. It's just opened. The reviews were mixed. Some were great, some were bad. One critic didn't understand it and didn't like how politically correct it is. It is very politically correct, this show, isn't it?
Yes. Oh,
Nothing
yes.
wrong with that. It's very modern. But I think with the right...
That's going to date it.
Go on.
It will date it, I think.
Well, we'll see, but if they're smart, if they went on the Royal Variety Performance, for example, I think that'll help. If they do X Factor and things and really push the pop market audience for this show, I think it could be a little... play 1 or 2 years, hopefully, in the Shaftesbury Theatre, and I'm sure it'll go on tour.
It was fun. I mean, that's the thing, it was fun.
Smiling and laughing.
Yeah, exactly. You can't, you know...
And it rained confetti.
It did rain confetti. It was fun, and ultimately, what do you want? You're not going into it to...
You're not going for tragedy, are you?
You're not going in for tragedy, no. You're not going in to be deeply shaken up in your belief system and made to think about really hard things. You're basically kind of going in, I guess, to wallow in nostalgia and have fun and think, oh, I like this song, and see things really well performed and well sung and well put together, and just, I suppose, let your hair down.
It's a very, very strong jukebox musical. I think it's something the British do very well, because it takes...
I want to go back to this white, but we both kind of felt, oh, it's very British, and it's trying to put a label on white, because it's not just the accents. It's just something about, I don't know, I'm trying to define it now, because it just seems like an unfair thing, so why...
I don't think
bits of it felt a bit like panto.
Yeah, very irreverent. It also didn't feel as cheesy as some of the Americans would do it. But then again, the book is by an American, so...
Yeah.
Maybe it's in Luke Shepherd's directing, but, you know, I mean, I'd love to hear more about the history of the piece and how it developed. But it's playing at the Shaftesbury Theatre, which isn't on Shaftesbury Avenue, just to confuse you. But Andrew, thank you very much for joining me.
Hang on, Nick.
Okay, go on.
Earlier on we were talking about Cats.
Were we?
Cats, yes, we were. Because Cats is coming out when? Cats the film.
December the something.
December the something. And so the Taylor Swift song, Beautiful Ghosts, has
Beautiful
come
Game.
out now. No, Beautiful Ghosts has
Never
come out.
dies.
And we were debating that earlier. We're kind of pro. You're anti it. I'm pro it. Discuss.
Might be for a discussion when we go and see Cats, and then we can talk about the film then, Andrew.
I don't care. I'm presuming is it just one of these songs they put on the credits? It's not in. It's not in
I think it is in the film.
Is it in it?
It's only an excuse to give Taylor Swift Elliott
I know that T.S. Eliot, Taylor Swift Eliot.
an Oscar, and
I know because you have to be a new song. You have to have a new song.
it's
to get an
typical
Oscar.
Andrew Webber dirge, really, and people enjoy it, and Taylor Swift sings it very well. Her lyrics are quite sweet.
You think it's a dirge?
Yeah, of course it's a dirge, and just steals from all his other songs. Mostly Till I Hear You Sing from Love Never Dies.
There are a few notes which are a little bit
And
like,
rhythms and
oh
everything else.
Christine, my Christine.
Lost and Gone.
I quite liked it. I don't know. I just felt
Yeah, but
something.
you have no taste, Andrew.
It's quite Christmas. Well, I'm here with you, Nick. Clearly, thank you. Dirge,
Beautiful Ghosts, streaming now. It's had about 1 million billion street of views, isn't
Beautiful
it?
Ghost. Is it supposed to be like some kind of alternate Grisabella song?
Don't know.
Taylor Swift's not acting in the film, is she? Is she?
Yeah. She plays the white cat, Victoria.
I'm so out of it. Do you know why? Because what was the last Andrew Lloyd Webber film adaptation? Was that Phantom? Was there one in between that I've missed? You're shaking your head no. You're absolutely confident.
As far as I know, I mean, we've had things filmed from the stage.
There were things filmed for DVD, no?
Yeah, but nothing.
That doesn't count. And I remember so looking forward to the Phantom one, and then watching it and thinking, oh my goodness, this is so bad, this is so awful. Most people are miscast. Ugh, it's just rotten. Ugh. It looks weird. It looks like some weird fun fair gone wrong. I'm sure you probably loved it, because it'd have been like your theme park wet dream.
Well, you say that Love Never Dies was actually filmed, wasn't it? The Australian stage show. That was the perfect production, according to Andrew Lloyd Webber. Sadly, they didn't film Stephen Ward. But no, I've seen the Phantom film once. It was fine. But Cats, I'm interested in most because they've added dialogue. That's what's interesting about it.
Can we say digital fur? Is that a thing now? Digital fur.
Dolby Digital Fur.
Dolby Digital Fur. I'm not sure. I don't know. Do you like Cats?
Yes,
Do you?
love them. I got one.
No. Cats the show.
I can put up.
Do you like Cats?
I like Cats the show. I think when I saw it a couple of years ago, it seemed very much like a museum piece. Nothing was changed at all, so it's just the 80s thing plonked on the stage. I like some of the songs. Some of the music wanders a bit too much, and it's not very inventive. But Skimble Shacks is fun, Mr. Mistopheles is fun, McCavity's fun. But they've added dialogue to the film, and the new trailer that's come out has no singing in it. And the latter half of the music isn't even from the film. So they're not selling it as I know it's so iconic, you don't need to, but they're not exactly.
But I don't know, is that more... Is that more an anxiety about not getting audiences in?
If you don't know Cats is a musical,
Where have you lived?
Exactly.
Where have you been? How are you alive?
so yeah, we'll see Cats, Andrew, and we'll report on it then.
Dialogue. Why is that? It's not that offensive, is it? Didn't the Les Mis film put some dialogue in?
Yeah, but Cats has no dialogue. Cats doesn't have a story, so they're shoehorning a story into it.
Isn't the story about trying to find the cat that gets a new life?
Or something.
Or something or other.
But we know that because it's staged so well and the songs tell that story, we don't need to have dialogue in it. So I'm wondering what's going on with that. We'll have to see it, Andrew. That's the only way.
But this is the thing. Regardless of whether we actually want to see it or don't want to see it,
We will see it.
We will see it. I think you'll probably sing along with the Taylor Swift Elliott song.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Christine.
Andrew, thank you very much.
But then,
We're going away now, Andrew, because we have other things to talk about in this episode. But we will see Cats, and it will be marvellous. Thank you, Andrew.
Goodbye, Nick.
Well, howdy again, musical talkers, and thanks for welcoming me back to the program with your lovely collective open arms. The British holiday season is upon us once again, and that means it's time for me to once again lead you all into Panto Land.
Oh, no, it isn't!
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, no, it isn't!
Oh, yes, it is. And I'm getting so much better at this crazy British tradition that I've actually been cast in a production this season. But anyways, you can boo me all you like. I am having an absolute blast. I am going to be playing the Emperor in a production of Aladdin this December, and it's going to be taking place at the Blackburn Empire Theatre here in England. And just as I've done previously on the podcast, when I took the show Chweddle to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe back in 2018, I will be frequenting the podcast this holiday season with audio blog entries, which will be ushered in by none other than Mr. Thos Ribbets and Mr. Nick Hudson, depending on who can be bothered to hear my voice. It's not going to be much more from me on this very first entry, other than to introduce the audio blogs themselves. The audition process was phenomenal. It was back over the summer, and it was great to meet Tim Lentz, who's the artistic director over there at Pendle Productions, who are the company who are in charge of the pantomime. First thing that I had to deal with was a promo day, which is something that is often anticipated and expected when cast in a pantomime here in Britain. It was back in October, and it was a chance for me to meet more of the creatives and some of the cast involved with the production as well. I met Ian Fox, who was playing our delectable Widow Twanky, who is the pantomime dame in this show. I also got to meet Ella Holt, who is the charming young actress who will be playing my daughter in the piece, the lovely Princess Jasmine. I also got to meet Michael Loftus, who will be playing the genie as well as PC Pong, and Kat Lunny, who will be playing PC Ping as well as the Fairy of the Ring. That was all very fun, all very well and good. And then shortly after the arrival of contracts and other logistical things came the script, which I was very excited to read, and I was not disappointed by it whatsoever. It's an original script by the company itself, Pendle Productions, written by the aforementioned Tim Lentz, and I absolutely devoured it and committed it to memory as soon as I possibly could. So with script and pencil in hand and all of my packed bags, I made my way to Blackburn and got ready for the rehearsal process. And it is that very rehearsal process that you will be hearing more about in my next audio blog entry. Check back to the podcast soon, where I will have exclusive interviews with the rest of the cast of Aladdin, as well as some of the creatives involved in the piece. Until then, friends, bye-bye.
You're listening to Musical Talk.
So I'm sat here with Jonathan Cohen,
Sitting
here with Jonathan Cohen, making his biannual appearance on Musical Talk. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello there.
I want to talk to you about Mary Poppins, because that is a show that when I very first heard you on Musical Talk, you were talking about Mary Poppins, and it was 2000, must have been about 12 years ago now or something like that, when it was first at the Prince Edward Theatre.
Right.
I was going to say the Prince Andrew Theatre, but that's something different entirely.
Yes.
You loved the show originally, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I was very surprised, actually, because I wasn't expecting it to be as dark as it was. I thought it was going to be more like the film.
As did everyone, I think.
Yes, I think they did. And I thought it was wonderful. The set was great.
Yeah.
Some wonderful performances. The effects were fantastic. And wonderful orchestrations by Bill Brown, which really helped an awful lot.
And tell me your story again about because you were at the opening night and you went to the party afterwards.
I did. I went to the party in this big club, which was on several floors, and I was sitting there, and Cameron McIntosh came up, and I said to Cameron how much I liked the orchestrations, and he said, "Is that all?" And I said, "No, I love the whole thing."
but most of the orchestrations, and that was what stood out to me when I first saw the show, and that was before I knew you. You were on Musical Talk talking about the orchestration, so I thought, I'd like to get to know this gentleman, and I did, and ruined your life. But anyway, I want to... It's now... And this has never happened in my memory. A show has come back to the same theatre where it played, and probably shouldn't have closed, in my opinion.
I don't know why it did close, do you?
Probably financial reasons, or because then Jersey Boys went into it.
Oh, that's right, but it also went on tour.
It went on tour. It
Yeah.
played in Australia, and then it went to the set went to Broadway. And
That's
things.
right.
And now it's back in 2019. It's weird because it's a show that I last saw on Broadway. I'd never seen the touring production that we are sort of getting now in the West End. So it's not the original, and by that I mean if you're going expecting the massive house that moves forwards and backwards and goes up and goes down, you're not going to get that. And that's the kind of negative I have about this show. So I'll start with a negative, is that it's not the original set and it doesn't have that wow factor. But only because I was, when I saw it, the woman next to me went, ooh, wow, and clapped when the new set came out. So I think I was just expecting the original set. So if you haven't seen the original set, you're not going to be disappointed by what you're treated to in this production. It's just if you have seen the original set, it's not as grand as one wanted it to be. And it's a shame because it's in the same theatre, so there's no reason why they couldn't have done it. I've heard the house set is in a barn at Cameron's house somewhere.
Well, the house is big enough, so it could sit there,
in one of the outhouses, along with one of the elephants and Les Mis. But this show is excellent. It's
or
still,
even Phantom.
Is it? No, the elephant they sat on in the Les Mis film when they were...
Oh, in the film?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this Mary Poppins, it's still a show I adore. What did you like about it, Jonathan? I mean, it's the same show, so we can kind of compare and contrast our thoughts on it, or if you can remember it.
It's a long time ago now, isn't it? Because of course I haven't seen the new production, and I don't know what the changes are.
What would you want the changes to be?
I wouldn't like any, really, because I liked it so much before.
The big change is that there's a song in the original called Temper Temper.
Yes.
Which is when the children in the nursery are very badly behaved and the toys play with the children as opposed to the children playing with the toys, and everything is turned topsy-turvy and upside down.
That's right.
That's been rewritten and it's now called Playing the Game. That was a choice Disney made when they took over the production when it went to Broadway, so it's kind of been Disneyfied, if you will.
Are you sure about that? Because I thought in the London production...
No, it was always Temper
was
Temper
it?
in
Okay.
London. It changed when it went to Broadway and they made it a lot more Technicolor and things like that. Glorious Technicolor. And I don't miss Temper Temper. The scene is still there. The point is still made. It's just made a lot quicker, which is good.
Right, but I read that it was terrifying and the kids were absolutely terrified
which is good.
of it.
And we need to terrify children more. It's actually quite creepy in this production because I think the new thing in the London production is there's a giant punch puppet that looms over the back of the house, which is quite creepy.
Oh, right.
And I don't think we've seen that before. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. I probably am, listener, but never mind. Still the same creative team. The cast, of course, we have Aladdin in there.
Yes.
Playing Mary Poppins.
But she also played it here on tour, didn't she?
Yes. And Scarlett Straddon also did the role in the West End, so they're kind of passing it down the family line.
But it was Laura...
Michelle Kelly,
who was, I thought was wonderful because she had this wonderful enigmatic quality to her performance.
Zizi Stradlin's Mary Poppins is a lot more stern.
Right.
And absolutely no nonsense. But she has a very kind of odd singing timbre that she does occasionally.
She's got a very, very quick vibrato, hasn't she?
Right, is that what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
Particularly in the top register, I think.
She can sing extremely well. And the way she dances through the role is very beautiful because she does everything as a balletic move.
Yeah.
Which is
I also heard her do, in some awards ceremony, she sang Glitter and Be Gay from Candide, which is really difficult. I mean, that's operatic stuff and top E flats, I mean, really, really miles up. Yeah. Which she did extremely well.
Yes.
So she can sing.
She can. Charlie Stemp of Half a Sixpence fame.
Yes.
And then he was in a pantomime last year at the Palladium.
And in Half a Sixpence, wasn't he?
Yes, Half a Sixpence. What did I say?
You said he was in a pantomime.
And then he was also in Half a Sixpence,
Yeah.
Doing a better Cockney accent than Dick Van Dyke did. Very, very good. The night I saw the show, we had a bit of a mishap with the kite.
Right.
There's a bit in Act 2 when they're trying to fly the kite and they're all saying, let's go, fly a kite.
Yes.
Should be let's go and
fly a kite. But yes.
And the kite detached itself from not from the string that was controlling the flying effect, but from the string that Michael was meant to be pulling the kite with.
Right.
So we had this mystical kite kind of floating by itself. So they kind of had an improvised scene based around that, which was rather sweet. Everyone corpsing and the audience cheering and stuff like that. But it's moments like that in theatre which are great, isn't it? Because it kind of
the
brings
danger
it
is
all...
if you try and recreate it in subsequent performances, it never works.
But there's moments kind of, I don't want to be cheesy here, but it brings everyone together. Yeah. The bits where because I was lots of kids when I saw it, and the kids were beautifully behaved. The parents are not beautifully behaved, which is kind of coincidental considering the theme of Mary Poppins. But it's the father and mother stuff where the children's attention starts to drag. I noticed when I've seen the show. There's a lot of Julian Fellowes soap opera scenes, if you know what I mean, kind of Edwardian values being shoved down our faces. And children aren't really interested in that. Some grown-ups aren't even interested in that. But there are moments in this show that are so joyous and theatrical. 4-year-olds in the audience still perk up when they hear a spoonful of sugar.
Yeah.
Or, what's the other one? Jolly Holiday. Or supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
And of course, the flying.
Yes,
they
the
all
flying.
get mental
but they're, the peak of this show, I think, is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious thingy doodah. Just for the choreography.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful moment. We all know the story. I don't need to go through the story, but a nanny visits a family and helps the parents' relationship more than the children. And they learn about the value of money. Something slightly ironic about a Disney show telling us that money is evil and we need to be kind and nice to everyone. There's a line where I kind of sniggered behind my breath when the father, I think Mr. Banks says, money should not be made for money's sake. You think, okay, well, here we are in a Disney production, but never mind.
I suppose you could say that any successful author or anybody who's made millions of pounds shouldn't be talking about it. But
the thing that interests you, I think, Jonathan, is Petula Clark is in this show.
She certainly
for some reason. Has she done the West End before?
Oh yes, she's done lots.
Blood Brothers or something?
She did Blood Brothers in America, but she also did over here. She did The Sound of Music.
Okay.
Years and years ago, which I actually saw. She was rather good.
Who was she in that?
Maria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, she was just young enough to play Maria. And she also wrote her own musical, which some of the listeners might remember. She wrote her own musical, which she also starred in over here a number of years ago.
Did she do the Leslie Brookus musical? Or was that someone else I'm thinking of?
Which one?
There's a Leslie Brookus musical that you said you heard, and she was in the film. I think it was Nicholas Nickleby or Tom Brown's School Days or something like that. But she's very, very good in Mary Poppins. I mean, she's 99 years old or something at the moment. So,
well, she would
87 actually.
Okay.
But she plays the Bird Lady.
Finnegan's Rainbow. She was in.
Okay.
With Fred Astaire, I think.
Wow. So she's a veteran.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she started off as an actress. I mean, she was a child actress as well as a singer. So she was in a number of films when she was a kid.
Finian's Rainbow. And
did I say Finnegan? Finian's. Rainbow.
The one I was thinking of, the Leslie Brookus musical, was Goodbye Mr. Chips.
Oh, yes, she was in that, yeah.
but, so we have her Mary Poppins. She doesn't get an entrance applause.
Right.
So I doubt many people know who she is.
Oh, sure they do.
It's lovely. She's very, very moving, very sweet. Bit behind the beat, but forgive her. She is 87, you're 83 or something like that. The funny bit was when they all do supercalifragilisticexpialidocious at the end of the show, and you're watching her. She's about 8 letters behind everyone else when she's doing the hand movements. So that was a treat to see her.
Or was that deliberate?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think somehow the bird woman has learnt all these moves. Also, Claire Moore was a highlight in this show, whom I last saw her and Claire Matchin, I think is her name. They were both in the Calendar Girls musical.
Oh, yes.
And we've had them on the podcast, so go and listen to that. Claire Moore is excellent, isn't she?
Well, Claire Moore always... She was the sort of person who could sing absolutely anything. And like she was often on...
Sophie Louise Dan or something. Or...
Yeah, well, she was like Friday... She was always on Friday Night is Music Night, and she could sing absolutely anything.
She plays Miss Andrew, and she doesn't do it like our good friend Rosie Ash did, where she was very, very stern and scary. She does it as a northerner, which is quite sweet.
Right. But she's supposed to be scary, isn't she?
Yeah.
Not scary, but she's supposed to be rather nasty.
But she's not posh or anything like that. She just does it as a kind of a northerner. And Claire Matchin doing Mrs. Brill, such a gift of a role.
Yeah.
The housekeeper.
Oh, yes.
I think Jenny Galloway played her when
she did,
we
and
saw
she was
her.
hilarious, yes.
But it's such a I think that role, it reminded me of Jenny's performance. It had the same vocal tone that she did. It's a heirloom. Talking about the vase on top of the door.
Well, it's all upstairs, downstairs stuff as well, isn't it?
Or Downton Abbey, really.
Downton Abbey, really, yeah.
From Julian Fellows.
Yeah.
There were 2 moments in this show that I was so moved to see again. And it is when Mary Poppins flies off at the end, because of the music that's going on underneath it. It's so beautifully done.
Yeah, and she flies over the audience, I'm assuming she still does that.
Yes, all the way up to the top. Yeah. And also the bit, I'm not going to reveal it if you haven't seen it, but the bit in Step in Time.
Oh, yes.
Which just is absolutely astonishing how they do that. You can see how it's done. As with all good theatrical moments, you don't care how it's done. You just care about the fact that it is done. And they say a good magic trick is all about the story behind it. If you can see the wire, fair enough.
Right.
But it's, part of the story, so it emotionally works. You could say the same about her flying at the end. You can see the wires, but it doesn't matter.
I think you have to see them now, don't because there's so much safety attached to it. They have to have 1,001
There
wires
are ways they could get around it. You couldn't
Right.
see the wires in Aladdin, which was previously playing at the Prince Edward Theatre. But that's done with an effect where the wire is spinning at such a fast rate, the naked eye can't see it.
Right.
Which is quite a clever way of doing it. But I don't think you could have a person attached to something like that.
Oh, what was flying on it
The
then?
magic carpet.
Oh, I see. Yes. No, you couldn't.
But the band is very good. It's not a small sound, which is nice. The kids were excellent, all 19 of them playing Jane and Michael Banks. Massive ensemble. And the new songs by Styles and Drew, I think, always work.
Yes.
They sound very Styles and Drew-y.
Yes, but they also don't stand out as being completely,
No.
of a different
They don't stand
style
out
or
like
era,
sore
do they?
thumbs.
No. To the originals, yeah.
Everyone thinks Practically Perfect is a song from the film because it's so cleverly woven.
It's a good song, too.
Yeah, they're very good songs. And whatever you think of the Sherman Brothers songs, they work.
Oh, yes. Well, they're like nursery rhymes, aren't they?
Yeah.
They got that sort of feel to them.
It's why, it's probably why 4-year-olds and I like them, because, they're just infectious, whether that's good or not. It's a small world after all. Of course, William David Brown, and it's nice here that I'm just looking at the website, it actually says 1933 to 2017, which is quite...
does it?
Yeah, there's a picture of Bill and then it puts... So that's lovely of Cameron to do that. It's just nice to have the show back here. I think it shouldn't have gone. you wonder if Cameron regretted it in a way, because I think it's his best production. I don't think of it as a Disney production at all.
But I'm wondering if it was doing that great business at the end. I'm not sure that it was.
Well,
but it's a long time. I mean, when was it? Did you say 2009?
2000 and something, 8,
yeah, something
like that. But you know, as with another show coming back, it's nice to have it back where you belong.
Yes.
But I think it's a lovely show. They got rid of the bits that didn't work. They've cut a lot of Jolly Holiday, you'll be glad to hear, Jonathan.
Right, okay, yes, that was a bit endless.
And they cut, as I said, Temper is now playing the game. I just wish, going back to where we started, I just wish it had the big setback. I don't mean the setback, I mean I wish it had the set back.
Well, there must be a good reason for it.
I just think it was a bit of a...
Maybe it was unwieldy.
Well...
And it did go wrong quite a lot.
I was going to say, I think she was a bit of a diva, that set. I think she had strops a lot. But it was a long time ago, so you think with technology now, it's a bit ironic that all these shows are coming back and we're getting less impressive versions than we had, like Miss Saigon, for example, also at the Prince Edward Theatre. That was a less impressive set. Les Miserables, that is a less impressive set. And all these shows are kind of, with technology now as it is, you think you'd be able to do a lot more. This show has a lot more projections.
Right.
But not as effective as the original production, for example. So when you go in the theatre, the preset is Mary Poppins. Why, I hear you say, so many shows do that, because we take a photograph of the set and we put it on our Facebook, so it's free advertising.
Is that really the reason for it? Oh, it's also cynical, isn't it?
Whereas originally you had a beautiful Edwardian
that's right,
etch of
Cherry Tree Lane,
yes. And it was projected, and it changed during the interval. Snow appeared on it, which was rather sweet.
So it did.
So that's a bit classier than what we have now. We have beautiful rooftops extending out from the proscenium arch into the audience, which is really nice.
What, in Step in Time?
No, for the whole show. There's a static set of houses coming out of the stage and going into the audience. Not all the way into the audience, but just kind of envelops. Is that the word?
Envelops.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the orchestra is in the pit,
They are in the pit where they belong, yes. But yeah, and some odd percussion choices, though. During Anything Can Happen If You Let It, there were some bongos going on, which I didn't like very much. It's not something Bill put in. I think it's something they put in afterwards, but probably something Cameron wanted. And I've seen it quite... I was quite near the front when I saw it, so I got the main percussion coming from the pit, as opposed to the sound...
Yeah.
Coming from all around.
I mean, you got it live, virtually, yes.
And it all sounds a bit kind of dampened.
Yeah.
But it's still an excellent sound, and I do think it's Cameron's best show, mostly because I'm not a fan of Les Mis or Phantom.
Yes, I mean...
Or Miss Saigon.
No, neither am I particularly, but there was something about it. It was surprisingly good, funnily enough. I wasn't expecting it to be as enjoyable as it was, and it was phenomenal.
Do you think if you were to go back now, you'd enjoy it as much?
I don't know. Maybe I should go and see it, actually. I saw it a few times when it originally came out.
It's a lovely show. It should be seen. Do go and see it. Jonathan, thank you very much for joining me to talk about it.
There wasn't much to say because I haven't seen this new production.
You saw the original, so it's always nice for someone to talk to about it. We'll have you on again next year. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
For more information about Musical Talk, please visit our website at musicaltalk.co.uk. You can email us at feedback@musicaltalk.co.uk, listen to past episodes on iTunes and YouTube, and follow our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.